Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and no gentlemen, but good evening, ladies, and welcome to the Woman to Woman TV show. And this evening, we're going to be talking about what Chicagoans want from their new mayor. When we go to the polls on April 4th, who are we going to put in that position? What do we know about these men? What have they done in the past? What's their track record? And what do we want out of them should they become the new mayor of Chicago? So that's the question. That's the essence of the discussion. How about you, Madeline? I know you called with some information. Any of it related to our upcoming
Well,
mayoral election?
yes, in fact, what I called you, Wanda, um, and I'm glad that I did call this evening
Thank you.
about this issue because it's been lingering with me since 2021 when I first found out about it.
Okay, Miss Yo or Jerry, would you like to comment on your thoughts about what your expectations might be for the new mayor and whether or not either person in your mind is qualified? I think I just like to hear your opinions about each of the candidates.
Oh, certainly. I don't mind getting out here. One of the things that I want to see from our mayor of Chicago is the redistribution of wealth back to the working person. I know we know that spoke yesterday about Paul Vallis's long history of turning public goods for private profits. He's been very good to his friends, and in fact, I believe he would be very. It really makes me question. I see so much support in terms of people who are in the same tradition in terms of the lack of resources in their communities. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just sort of just solely looking at whether or not we are going to see more wealth inequality or more wealth equality. Just simply staying right there. Are we going to see more wealth inequality, or are we going to see the redistribution of wealth in Chicago? What are we going to see in terms of capitalism? Just
Yeah.
one. And undeniably, Paul Vallis has a very strong record of turning, uh, actually not just the redistribution. I mean, yes, he has a redistribution of wealth, but he actually redistributes the wealth of the many to the few.
Yes, that's right.
And so I'm not certain when I see people just getting definitely I want to do some name calling. I would like right. So what is it, Jesse White, what is it that you see happening for your community in terms of selecting somebody like that? Or are you really just tuned into what's going to happen for you? Am I seeing his supporters get out there solely for themselves right in front of my face? I mean, that's
Right in front of your very face. I was looking at a picture that they have online that I put in the paper that has all of these people. I'm not going to name anybody. Just go look at the picture. And all of these people are behind Paul Vallis. And I'm like, wait a minute. So is the message that we're going to continue with business as usual? Put me in office and I will continue with business as usual. Is that what's being said? Because if you bring Brandon Johnson in, he's going to bring some change. He's going to bring some equality because he lives in Austin with his family and his children.
for a fact that he has never been responsible for an economy. He has not been, or he has not been the overseer of billions that have been redistributed to the wealthy. We know for a fact he has not been in that position. Okay, so
Yeah.
we know for a fact that Paul Vallis has been in that position and has done that. So
Yes.
definitely, we should be definitely looking at Johnson. It should not even be a choice.
It shouldn't
It's
be.
really, that's just what. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
All right,
it's amazing. Miss Yo, you have to unmute yourself so we can hear you. At the top right, unmute. Unmute. Top right corner of your screen. Okay, I'll come there. Yeah, yeah. Give me a second, Jerry. You can go on. You and Madeline, are you back yet? Oh,
Unmute.
there you go. There
Is that
you go.
it? All right.
Okay.
All right.
So we can hear you. And let me close the door so we're not clashing. But at any rate, I was asking your opinion about the two gentlemen.
Well, I am agreeing with who's that talking, Jerry?
Yes.
And it'd been nice if we'd have known ahead of time who was gonna be out here to run. I know that he's come out of the commissioner's office, right?
Yep.
And that's where he's got the money, but somebody supported him evenly with money. So I know
Yes.
he
got the teachers union behind.
So if you know, even by accident and suggestion, at least he's one to learn. Brother Vallis, you don't need to tell him what did he say on the radio? They repeated, says, well, I'm a better Republican. And that was earlier this morning. I said, what? I never got to understand it. But we already know it. And someone mentioned that he had he's Greek or wherever his family came to be here, they set up business, a store, or a restaurant, or what have you. And I'm not sure. When he left, they just picked up and left. And the lady commented on it, says, we got empty business space there where they were, and a part of a little Greek experience in the small town, and up and gone. No replacement job. He says, now I wonder about this man. That was on the radio yesterday.
Ah, okay.
So there's things about that in his family. He didn't have to, it wasn't just Chicago. But what about that? You know, it's nothing new. I knew him back in school time when they had mimeographed work, not teacher suggestion, promotion, or whatever. If they pass and turn in all this mimeograph work for this grade, turn it in, then we're going to change the tide of the school. Everybody passed. Everybody, no, they got to the next grade, can't go to the high school. If we can't write, or finish reading. So that has to turn around. Mimeograph work, how long ago was that? 30 years ago?
A few years
What
back.
do we have now? You know, I don't know. We need to be measuring those results on what you did then and what you liable to do now. Because the old boy, you couldn't find nobody to walk behind you or behind you. Older than 88 years old, anybody any younger than that? Where's everybody else? You know.
Well,
I got something else to say about the Chewy. There's something we still, as a Black people, have a problem with. How come out of all those 4 or 5 that split up, making sure that nobody would come out with a 50%, more than 50% than the other? Who is able to stop that now? There's 5 of you. Stop that right now. No. Now, I've been here to listen to all 5 of you. And why you're running against each other has not been brought forth. Now, that just needs to be stopped.
But now,
right there. Because Chewy, we put Chewy in the Senate. The last you month. So how you gonna play this game over here and hang on to the Senate over there?
That's the way they play the game.
You got all the melanin, you got the brown people with your support. You know you got that. That's not fair. Lori Lightfoot, the reason why she came over is because Willie Wilson gave his percentage to her with a business promise. let's work together with the South Side. She never, we were there on that, the date on the calendar, the days that he'd be calling. He's a businessman. No sign from her. We were there, waiting to hear her say the things that we wanted on the South Side.
I'm sorry, I want to make your point clear because it sounds like it's important. You're saying that you all were there to find out what you wanted on the South Side, and what was the response?
That she never called.
Okay, you were with Willie Wilson in his office.
This was at the Baptist Institute on King Drive. Was that 50th and King Drive? And we were to come, this right after the election, after he gave, whatever that percentage of his had, and they were to have a business meet over the phone. And he had Southsiders, folk that own organizations, with non-for-profit and stuff there, so we can spread the word and say what we had to say. She never responded. And I understand that happened 2 or 3 times. After that time, his face never changed. He said, all right. That was just it. That was in the beginning. That was in the beginning of still, before the insurgent. I'm not over that yet.
Was that before she took?
Go on.
You're saying that happened when she first became the mayor of Chicago, or did that happen recently?
What are you talking about? I said when they ran against each other, when Lori first ran. What do you mean recently? And that's how his percentage of the votes he willed or bequeathed to her, and that's what brought her over.
Oh, you're talking about when she first got elected? Okay,
that's what I said. That's
okay.
How she got. That's
she
how
was
she
just trying to
it.
clarify. She was just trying to clarify.
Yeah, that was right. I mean, but that's how. Otherwise, I don't think she would have made it if his percentage had not been included. She would. It wouldn't have taken her over. And she did that 50%.
She was interested in meeting the needs of Southside residents, or listening to the agenda of Southside residents, or seeing any redistribution of wealth to the South Side of Chicago.
Yes.
He was never really involved in even the conversation about seeing a redistribution of wealth to or services to the South Side.
You never heard it while we was all up in there, word of mouth, because Glenda had me go because she couldn't go, and so I went to listen. Never did, and I went twice.
Yeah, so we
never responded, and didn't have anyone respond for her. So she was out of my book then.
So now we see her being moved out, and so unfortunately, we've got to be really strong. I don't know if you agree with this point, but we've got to be strong, but we're going to really see something much worse. As we see right now, even the places where Paul Vallis has he has a history of siding with the wealthy, and he would not increase big taxes on the corporations that we do have. They keep talking about bringing in more business. What about taxing the ones that are already here?
Right.
That we see the cranes on the north side of Chicago. We see plenty of wealth being redistributed. It's not being distributed. It's not that people are not making money. That's not true. Chicago has a huge economy. Illinois has a huge economy. It's not that we don't have an economy. It's that we don't have access to anything in the economy.
That's right.
We see everywhere. Just right here says that we just Paul Vallis, just because we've got to at least let our listeners know what he has done. He's wrote for school privatization. He wrote the plan. So what does that mean? He is replacing neighborhood schools with those privately run for profit. He did it in
That's right. That's right.
In New Orleans, he took advantage of Hurricane Katrina to implement a for-profit education model.
Yes.
Talking about the fact that our children have been, there's no nice way to put it. They have dumbed them down.
Dumbed them down.
And that's what, dumbed them down to the point, guys. I mean, and I definitely won't name the school now, Wanda.
Yeah.
But I can tell you emphatically that in these charter schools, there is very little or no learning going on. And I will tell you all what it has replaced with. It has been replaced with, how do you feel? Okay, we don't need that in schools. We have a lot of places to feel things. What we need are resources. In other words, what I mean is having our young people be impulsive and respond to their
Yes.
and not, there is no discipline even necessary. And it's sad to say, it's not sad to say, because it's true to say that your impulses will not get you get a hold of this thing that we are riding called capitalism.
Yes.
Black impulses, we have got to have discipline. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to be, and definitely, you all, it was important for the wrong people to get in schools so that they could dumb the children down and just tell them, it's okay. I want to find out how you're feeling today. Yeah, but you. Okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying? Wanda, you were responding.
No, I was saying you're right. Hey, you're right. I mean, it's almost like they have brainwashed our children into believing that they can't think, or that they shouldn't think, that to be successful in life, you need to follow instructions. You need to do what you're told, not think about what you want to do or why you want to do it. Just do as you're told. See, that's what they want for our children.
No, well, there's things that I think just in order for our children, if they're coming over even from Jamaica, they know how to speak more than one language. Well, what's up here? We have Asian and Hispanic. That ought to be automatic in the schools, because that's our neighbors. Why aren't a language mandatory? That definitely have to change. You don't know anything about that in the culture, and really in respect for that Asian community. All right, because they tell me that no, they don't vote for Black folk. Now I wonder why.
Well, I mean, no, everybody understands our position in capitalism. It's only seems that our community doesn't understand capitalism, and the fact that capitalism is at the bottom of it. So everybody else is not on the side of the people that are at the bottom of capitalism, and to provide this actual, the floor for this thing to work. So it's, if you have to separate the subjects. You cannot talk about humanities and math in the same voice, in the same room. You have to have a conversation. It's not it doesn't have anything to do with how much I like you or don't like you. It's about whether or not I'm going to be in control of the resources, or are you going to be in control of the resources.
That's right, because whoever's in control of the resources, they're in control of the population.
Well,
right?
That's
I think we don't have to change the whole structure, because I want to see more hands-on, and you go home and do your homework. And I think that keeps them interested in coming back. The shops were taken out. The young boys, the coaches down there in those shops kept all the guys in check. You don't think about it. You can call a coach, he put them all in check. All you got to do is call somebody. I just remembered that, but we don't have, where are the coaches?
Well, we definitely have to take our communities
the male
back.
Mentors.
We have to take our communities back, because we've relinquished our authorities.
Yeah, but what does back mean? That
we've given it away. We've given our authorities away. We've allowed the laws to come in and say we can't chastise our children. We can't. If you spank your child, they want to. The child can call the police, and it's child abuse. There's so many mixed
I don't
signals.
know nothing about that.
You don't?
No.
What she's saying though, she's talking about. Well, she's not talking about personally, but she's talking about the systematized versus the role that gave us against them. Everywhere where you
Yes.
can create it, where the child does not understand that they have a role to play in this thing, where they're confused. In the schools, they are very, there is this whole rise of tell me how you feel.
That's
Okay,
right.
tell me how you feel. Chappelle puts it best. Nobody has ever cared how we felt. Nobody cared at all how people feel when you have to work every hour in order to support yourself. How you feel ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. If the rent is $2,000 a month and you have to earn that hourly wage to stay there, nobody's gonna
Say
ever
that.
feel. So why
Say
in the
that.
world
See?
is somebody teaching you that?
It's just entrepreneurship. They're not taught, children not taught to think. How to go through that maze and things to do, the how-tos. I had
They didn't want you to learn. They didn't want you to learn how to think. That's the whole point that I was making.
I didn't know
Was
none of
that
that till I was.
they want
I didn't know.
they want you to be robotic. Kind of like do what you're told.
Yeah.
Don't do what you see. Do what you're told.
Mine's 31. After that, I don't know what they doing. 31. I didn't know that, but I know that they don't. Art is not important. And what is the other thing? Music. And both of my grands got scholarships with music and took biochemistry.
Yeah.
So we don't have any of that in the school. So how do they get scholarships if they don't deal with them or get them scholastically? No music, no art, no show off spelling bees, no. So as a community, I know Wanda's, but just I don't know what can we do to have. I remember spelling bees. We on our own.
Yeah.
I know, what are we to do? We got to put some specifics to that, because whoever's going to come in contact with Johnson need to be able to rattle that.
So what are some of the concepts we want Johnson to focus on when he gets in office? What are some of the immediate things we think he needs to address?
Taxes on big corporations. Let's start right there. They can fill in the gap, and you won't have to do all these tax ownership. We probably have corporations paying. I understand in Illinois there are big corporations that pay no taxes. So
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's ugly. How you gonna pay no? Is that's we giving you that kiss because you're in our communities? Is that why?
I didn't hear about it. So
you didn't hear that the big box stores don't pay taxes? If they pay taxes, it's not equal to what they're making.
I'm here, Wanda. I'm here. I can weigh in on that.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I first of all, and I'm gonna talk just a little bit about that. What we're talking about with respect to education issues, and then I'll go on to talk about the issue that I want to bring up today, because it ties into, in fact, the lack of education.
Okay.
When we talk about taxes, we could look at the model, and I haven't looked at it in depth, frankly. So I just know about it on the edge of it. California created a model whereby the richest districts, money was shifted from the richest districts in California, like, for example, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, those places, and shifted to the poorer school districts. That happened several years ago. And the thinking among legislators was that the wealthier districts could deal with that, because they had the individuals in the wealthier districts had the ability by way of resources available to them to bring money into their school district, whereas individuals in poorer districts typically are not only are they economically poor, but they typically lack access to resources in terms of knowing how to bring money into the district. So the money was shifted in the various districts. And the last time I really looked at this, which was about 5 years ago, it was working. It was working, and there was no resistance to it. And now the money was going into more money was going into the poor districts. What that meant in terms of resources, in terms of academic resources and so forth, I'm not sure how that ultimately played out. I would have had to do more research into that side of it. So, but the bottom line is there is a model that we could look at, so that instead of saying we're going to just simply defund the wealthier districts, like in Illinois, we would be talking about the North Shore area, like Wilmette, Glenview, and all those cities in the North Shore area, and shift that money into the poor areas, like, for example, Inglewood, Auburn, Gresham, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a model that we could look at to see how the shifting of dollars could work. Now, once the dollars are shifted, and I used back in the 80s, I was a researcher, I was a public policy researcher, and in fact, was involved in working with a team of people that wrote public policy papers that ultimately created was used by legislators to create the Illinois School Reform Act. Out of that act came, for example, local school councils. All of this with the intent of making the schools perform better. However, better got defined by a particular community. The thing that I focused on was the curriculum issues, and it saddens me to say that since the 1980s, the schools have not gotten better. The common public schools, as we call them, when we compare them to charter schools, the common schools have lost resources. Like when the lady, I don't see her name there, I see Wanda Carter next to her name, but when she was talking about the fact
that's Miss Yo. All right,
Miss Yo, okay, Miss Yo, talking about the fact that so many of the schools that used to have vocational programs, and I remember that I was in college prep programs. I'm a product of Chicago public schools, but I remember when there were vocational programs in several Chicago public schools, the high schools, CBS, and with all those buildings, the buildings are still there, but the population is no longer there. You had CBS, you had Tilden, you had Dunbar, you had Simeon. It was several high schools where you could go and get the skills in a trade, and by the time you got ready to graduate from high school, you were ready to go into an apprenticeship. And of course, we remember when there was.
That's what I want.
Yes, and we remember when there was. There used to be Dunbar. There used to be Washburn Trade School, and I heard someone talking a couple of days ago about Washburn. As the vocational programs were taken out of all the schools, in fact, Washburn, which had a plethora, any kind of trades, any kind of trade you could imagine, you could learn at Washburn. Ultimately, the number of trades at Washburn whittled down to, I believe it was 3